Flash. Ah! Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Quick life update before we get going here. I survived the ice/snowstorm that was going across North Carolina. Huzzah. Freezing rain kind of has covered the roads with ice, so I'm probably not going anywhere for a couple of days, but we didn't lose power or anything, so it's all good. So, Shay sent me this deck list under the assumption that it would need a little bit of work. Fire Nation Occupation is a very intriguing card that represents a ton of value. This is like the Monastery Mentor or Corey Steelcutter type card, but in black. And it presents a very, very real amount of value over the course of a game. It gives you a body on entry and then another body every time you cast a spell during your opponent's turn. So if you design your deck to essentially be a flash deck where pretty much everything in the deck can be cast on your opponent's turn, it's pretty easy for that to produce 4, 5, 6 bodies over the course of a couple of turns and overwhelm your opponents. Now, I think Shay's starting point here has a couple of problems. Number one, I don't think the deck is a very good Dark Ritual deck. I understand the logic of wanting to power this out as quickly as possible, but I don't consider Opposition Agent a particularly great payoff card for Dark Ritual. And a bunch of the other cards that can use the black mana in this deck don't use the full 3 black mana. And we're not playing Thoughtseize in this deck because it is a sorcery and we're trying to play as many instants and cards with flash as possible. So I think a lot of times Dark Ritual actually ends up being a +1 mana card in this deck, unless you're funneling it into escaping a Cling for Dust, which is also not particularly exciting. So problem one is I don't think it's good with Dark Ritual. And problem two, I think it just has too many black cards. So this is 24 black cards. And that means that there aren't all that many cards that actually pitch to Force of Will. And when you consider that the lands obviously don't pitch to Force of Will either, we start to get into, I think, pretty dubious territory, especially since the sideboard probably wants a bunch of copies of Force of Negation as well, because those play very well with Fire Nation Occupation. So I set out to solve those two problems in reconstructing this deck. And this is what I came up with. Something that came up quite a bit in the comments of the previous Fire Nation Occupation video that I did was that Katra Waterbending Master is probably a natural fit in the same deck, as she also gives payoff for casting all sorts of things on your opponent's turn. So we remove the opposition agents and the bitter bloom bearers for Kataras, and that as a starting point already really helps with the blue count in this deck. And I think Snuff Out is probably the best removal spell. If you want to be tapping out for a Fire Nation Occupation or a Katara, and you still want to cast a removal spell in the same turn, this is the one to do. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the main deck. It's possible that this slot right here could be better as a Bitter Bloom Bearer or another flash creature like Wan Shi Tong, or the other two that were already in the starting deck. But Katara really wants me to be able to remove creatures so Katara can get in safely. So I think I'm going to err on the side of being slightly overloaded with removal. If we count Brazen Borrower as removal, this is 9 main deck removal spells that trigger Katara and Fire Nation Occupation, which sounds pretty good to me. For the sideboard, I mostly wanted to stick with the theme of everything being castable at instant speed to trigger my good cards. And so we're going to go with Surgical Extraction over the spell bombs that we might otherwise see in this shell. I'm going to pick up a Mystical Dispute, and I'm going to overload on Force of Negations under the assumption that Force of Negation is going to be better than usual in this deck. I am going to play a couple of Barrogoyfs. Good card is good, and offsetting the life loss from Snuff Out is probably important. And at the end of the day here, one of the big questions I'm left with is, do we need Thoughtseize in this deck still, despite the fact that it is a sorcery? There's a decent amount of combo running around in the metagame right now, and it may just be that only trying to attack via the stack is not enough right now. And we'll see how this feels. I've started to see a decent amount of hexing Squelcher and friends online as protection from combo decks. So we'll see how the counterspells actually feel in practice today. And if you need any of those new lore win cards like Hexing Squelcher, please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAmagic.com. You get free shipping every single time, and you can support me while getting your awesome legacy cards while using promo code ThrabenU at checkout. Alright, let's battle. Alright, I have kind of a mediocre hand. One more thing that I wanted to talk about. The original deck list had 4 basic lands. I'm not sure if it's worth running that many. Having the stability to get this out without being wastelanded is certainly something, but having our own wastelands is reasonable as well. The opening hand is not exciting here. I can't brainstorm and then fetch. Consider is definitely not ponder. I think I'll ship this one. I think I have so many like Tameo style starts that I should just try to find a better opening hand than that. This is medium. Again, consider is not ponder. I think this is interactive enough that I can probably keep it. And I think I'll get rid of Bowmasters. I think it's Bowmasters or Brazen Borrower, and Brazen Borrower pitches to Force of Negation in a pinch. Immediate pinch. Spirit Guide. Fuck. Well, I don't Force of Negation that or Daze that. Okay. That ain't great, folks. I do have 4 basic lands in the deck. Drawing any of the 4 is pretty solid. That I probably just have to say no to, so that if I hit a blue source, I can cantrip towards a black source, which I'll need to remove this. I'll get rid of a Daze there. Alright, so now blue source or black source is good. At only 2 damage per turn, this is fine. It's when another creature gets into play that things start getting dicey. Fuck. Alright. Well, those just live there now. It's fine. We will naturally draw 2 different basic lands. Rats. So there's the next land drop. Again, this isn't too spooky yet. But as soon as, a Caves of Chaos Adventurer style creature hits the stack, this goes from bad to, oh no, I'm dead, instantly. Alright. There is also then the question of, what is in my opponent's hand if they are not deploying cards, right? Okay. Yes. The second threat is now in play. Hey. That's viable. I think I tap out and do this. This does give me a body immediately, and makes Bowmasters make an extra body. Plus, if I don't already have enough red mana, we can get a little more. Okay, yep, that makes sense. I will eat 4 damage going to 6. We will make our land drop, pass the turn, and hopefully I can take out both of these creatures in combat. The fear, hesitation, a very understandable hesitation at that. So there's our 2/2. Bowmaster this. Trade with you. Trade with you. Hot damn. I would love to draw an island before my opponent hits 5th land to just fuck yeah, to just fury. All right. I can get the Blood Moon out of play if I need to. I'm not sure if I need to. Opponent to 17. There's Katra. Sundering Eruption on the island. This lets me search for a basic land. That would replace itself. I can also just pick up the land while doing this, which I think I like better. Whoop! Triggers. There was a tapping and untapping of Ancient Tomb there. I think that was my opponent going to pay for Daze and then realizing they don't actually have to do that. Chromox is fine. You can Chalice on 1. I have a Brazen Borrower for that. Alright. You get that one. The clutch second swamp that I was shit-talking at the beginning of this round. Absolutely. Here to party. Another days. I don't mind that. So I have my experience counter over here. So this is now a loot. I will send in. I would not mind finding actual factual force of will with my opponent on 0 cards. I think I'm going to loot a Katra. Opponent to 13. I am so sorry. I think I will float blue, cast this by returning an island, trigger, get out Fury, then cast Consider, trigger. Oh yeah, Fire Nation Occupation, you are doing your thing. Hey, there's the force of will I asked for. Very nice. I could even Fatal Push one of my tokens here. That replaces the token and puts an extra counter on Katara. I'm in. This deck is sweet. So bam. Send it. Triggers. Just always yield to these firebending things that I'm not gonna do anything with. So yes. Discard basic mountain. Absolutely filthy. I don't believe that we won this. I think we got a little lucky. The One Ring. No. I'll consider first if I find a different blue card to pitch other than Force of Brazen Borrower, but it doesn't matter. Say no to Basic Mountain. I do find a different blue card. Force of Negation, pitch Tameo, and Fire Nation Occupation made 10 power that game. Absolutely wild. GG. All right. So I really like Hydroblast. That's just a easy answer to a a Blood Moon or Magus of the Moon effect. And then I have a ton of wiggle room how I sideboard from there. Like, I can do EE for some of the Chalice type stuff. I can do Consign for the One Ring. I can do more removal. I can do Barrogoyf. Like, most of the cards in my deck are viable here. I think I'm not overly excited about Days on the Draw. I think I'm probably going to trim these. Not cut, but trim these. Because Goyf kind of fills the same curve spot. I don't mind having a couple more answers to the One Ring type cards. I don't mind having an answer to a Chalice. I think I'm going to keep Bowmaster as something I can flash in and use to kill a Magus of the Moon in combat. And also just something that I can cast off of single swamp. Okay, this is great. Like, this has, in theory, both of my basic lands, one of them in hand already. I have Force of Negation, which I will fire off immediately here. I think I do this. I could keep an instant for Katara. Oh, yeah, I mean, if I must. There's also a different way to play this where I don't play Tameo, intend to use Tameo to pitch to Force of Will and fetch a basic swamp in this turn cycle. And that is totally reasonable as well. All right, cool. Nice. Send it. Make my clue. Then we'll pick up a basic swamp. Throw down Katara. And most things that hit the stack will get Force of Willed at this point. This can block the Katara token, but does not trade with it. That's not a very good card, other than the fact that it would make Urza Saga stick around forever. And in that capacity, I just counter this. Katara gets the first counter. Yes. So I'm going to send on in. And basically everything that I do this turn is good. Bowmaster can go away. Opponent takes 1. And I think I will just slam a Barrogoyf here. Basic Island or basic Swamp. Black doesn't seem to be relevant. Blue might. So there's my Barrogoyf. Now my opponent has 3 different bodies, each of which will all potentially carry the game by itself. This is a bad spot for them. They could really use something like the One Ring here. The opponent is floating mana. Rome Mox. Another land drop. This is a ton of mana. Barrogoyf is outside of Fury range. Opponent's also just down to 3 cards. Oh? Is this just a gargantuan Shatter Skull smashing? It's gotta be, right? Oh, Fiery Confluence. That, like, had the potential to be very, very good. Okay, it is a Gargantuan Shatter Skull Smashing. Snuff Out is cool. I think I am... Do I want to crack the clue before this trigger? I think I do. So this is card draw 2 for the turn. The Katra trigger will be card draw 3. Yeah, I can loot through that Fatal Push. That's just worse than Snuff Out on a number of different levels here. So Investigate again. Yes, I will use the Katra ability. Discard Fatal Push. Tamiyo is a Planeswalker. Opponent takes 1. I plus with Tamiyo. I think I just need my opponent not to have the One Ring as their top deck this turn. And then I pick up one of these blue counter spells, and the game is very safe from there. So yeah. Yes. I think I'll keep double Brazen Borrower. Get rid of that. Brazen Borrower just pitches. I'll pick up Force of Will. And now I just feel very good about this. I have Brazen Borrower as a tempo play that increases the number of experience counters I have. I have Snuff Out for a creature. All right, I will just draw a card then. Pyroblast. Negative. Lightning Bolt. All right. Tamiyo plus. Send in for 1. I can probably just discard the other Katra at this point. I think Brazen Borrowers are more useful just having 3 power immediately. All right, that's more mana. That's probably not what my opponent wants. That's down to 3. That means a Brazen Borrower is lethal. A Blood Moon. I don't see that doing anything, so that's, I think, fine. Like, my opponent has 1 card left. Oh, no follow-up. In that case, I will go ahead and play Orcish Bowmasters, which will be presenting lethal damage. I feel like my opponent did not draw any gas. That was a very, very impressive first round showing for this deck. We came back from a huge deficit in the first game, had an overwhelming victory in the second. I don't know that my opponent drew particularly well, though, so we'll see how we perform in the rest of the game, or the rest of the league. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. All right. Opening hand honestly looks great. We have Tamiyo backed by Force of Will in the early game, and then Fire Nation Occupation as our end game here. But looks like my opponent is going to be playing a broken combo deck here. So we will see if a single Force of Will is enough. The good news here is that I can flip Tamiyo on turn 2, and then hopefully Force of Will something, bring back the Force of Will. But if we're playing against what I suspect we are, 1 Force of Will is often not enough. Oh, not quite what I expected. I thought this was going to be the, like, Creative Technique Demonstrate deck, but this looks like it's going to be Storm instead. So I can give my opponent 6 mana and then try to fight over business spells, or just say no to this and make it to my next turn and then Tamiyo Brainstorm. I think I'm okay with just saying no here. I'll pitch the second Tamiyo. Tara is potentially very good. So I would like to find another counterspell here. Oh, I whiffed. Uh-oh. I will put back 1 and 2. Transform Tamiyo. Tamiyo plus. I have an emergency Brainstorm. I have a blue card to pair with it. I don't know how good my dazes are going to be versus this much mana. I think I let that resolve. Ruby Medallion and Ral. Those are good cards. I think I will Brainstorm here, if for no other reason than to see if I can set up a removal spell for Ral. I have a lot of things that answer Ral, like Snuff Out. Oh no, those are just lands. Fire Nation Occupation is probably better than this land drop. Ral is happening, and Ruby Medallion is not far behind. Oh no. So Ral triggers. Let's see if my opponent transforms Ral. They do, which is unfortunate for me because now Snuff Out is not a hit for Ral. I don't have... Oh. I'm unhappy. That is all quite good. So unfortunately, I have to Tamiyo Plus here. I think the line is fetch, surveil. Land is not what I want. I think I need to look for a counterspell. This is now just a blind draw at a counterspell. I don't love that. I don't think I have time to tap out for Katra. Okay, I technically found a counterspell, but it's not a good one. Unless... Alright, so there's the land from exile. There's the Rite of Flame. I can daze this. These are just cost reducers. So I use 2 mana for Katra, 1 mana for Surveil, and get Force of Will back. That's fine. Ugh, this is scary. Yeah, Ral pluses. But I get to at least get a Force of Will out of this Tamiyo, which is a big deal. So get Force of Will. Now that I drew Consider, I probably don't play Undercity Sewers this turn. And I could have thought for half a second longer about whether or not it's just better to play Fire Nation Occupation there as something that pressures Ral better. Ren's Resolve. I think I'm going to start with my Consider. Get a basic here in case I hit a black fetch land later and need a blue mana. So let's yield to Katra. Consider finds Fatal Push, not what I'm looking for right now. Bowmasters, nothing. There are scarier cards, but it might just be that it's correct to stop the first thing that happens. I don't know that 1 Force of Will is enough to get me through this turn. Another Ancient Tomb. Luckily, we're very far away from this Ral ultimating. A Wish. I don't know what that's going to do, but I imagine that I'm not going to like it. Grape Shot. Does that get both? Yeah, that's going to get both. All right. Yeah, I think I should have played Fire Nation Occupation on my previous turn. Ral pluses. All right. I mean, I can play Fire Nation Occupation now. They know to Fatal Push. I probably aggressively daze with Fire Nation Occupation. Yeah, I'm just going to get my extra body here, I think. Return the Undercity Sewers. And then whatever else here happens. My opponent has potentially 2 different cost reducers in play, so this is not great for me. So there goes the Needle, and we'll just see how good the Reckless Impulse is. Uh-oh, that's bad. Storm is already 4. Now, this is at random, but most of the cards that are in here would be bad for me. And this also costs 2 less mana due to these. So there's a lot of things happening here, and I don't like it. So there's Desperate Ritual again. Jessica's Will can just send more cards to exile. I imagine at this point that this is just deterministically lethal. I am at 14 life. The Grape Shot's still in graveyard. But I imagine... Oh, okay. All right. So that is going to get the Grape Shot. So at this point, I can see the lethal easily. I'm just going to concede here. They've got it. I think I had a better play of Fire Nation Occupation over Katra. But I don't think it's game-changing. Regardless, GG's. I am into these Force of Negations here. I'm into, I think, Shouldered's Edict as something that answers Ral on either side. Consign for Storm Triggers is okay. Hydroblast is okay. Surgical's not crazy. Like, there's some timelines where I just play that as a 3-mana counterspell. I think my starting point is 4 Fatal Pushes out. Bowmasters is not particularly great here. My opponent is not truly drawing cards. Those can probably go. I probably trim 1 of those. I think I am okay with 5 removal spells, under the assumption that my opponent is going to be playing some number of Hexing Squelchers that I want to remove. Maybe let's not Mystical Dispute. I'm now more or less happy with the cards that are in the deck. Is Tamiyo, Katra, Brazen Borrower enough? Like, this is a lot of power quickly, which is nice. I don't particularly want prolonged games versus this deck. Maybe I'll just, like, junk one Consider. This is fine. Tamiyo and Katara are better starting cards here than Fire Nation Occupation, but I don't know that I can throw back a double counterspell hand, although this one is much closer to a single counterspell hand than I would like. But this hand covers Hexing Squelcher, which feels like it might be a big deal. Cool. Then I will Surveil. I'm looking for a blue card of some kind. That's the third land for this, but I think I'd rather find a blue card. Well, we got that swamp anyway. That does mean that I get Fire Nation Occupation 100% of the time next turn. And I can hard cast a Daze Ruby Medallion. I think we gotta counter that. Like, as much as I would like to wait to use that counter spell until this is in play. Oop. You got more? Looked like they had more. But they did not. Tamiyo is very good. I think I'm still going to tap out for Fire Nation Occupation and just believe in this card. Like, it is very possible that I attack for 6 next turn. So there's another mountain. All right, there's a Ral. I will absolutely snuff that out, given the first opportunity to. Manamorphose. Snuff out, trigger Fire Nation Occupation. So then Ral's trigger still happens. Opponent loses 1. Opponent now has 3 red mana. Wow, that's lucky on my end. Do I want to Surgical something just to attack for 6? I think I do. Is it Ral or Manamorphose? Manamorphose comes back from graveyard. Ral is just an annoying card. I think I'm going to take Ral here. I'm going to 13 to do this, which is, like, not the best. Ral. 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 Are there Hexing Squelchers in here? There are not. Guess I will take a picture of this. My opponent does have a Storm of Memories, by the way. So I can throw down a Tamiyo. Attack for 6. Ah, yes. Don't have a use for the Firebending mana this turn. Next turn I can use it to crack a clue. If I am still alive. So there's Ruby Medallion. Okay, cool. I think I Surveil immediately. They do have a second one of those. Katara. That card seems unnecessary. I think I'm just going to look for something I can cast that is in any capacity disruptive to my opponent. So I will investigate. I will now activate this clue. Another land is not great. All right, opponent is at 7, facing down 6 damage, which is very inconvenient. I think I'm going to fall just short on this one. I think the way I win is my opponent taps Ancient Tomb and fizzles. That is a tapped land. Okay. They're not going to go for it this turn. They're just going to wait one more turn. That is a hard castable Force of Will. That's a big draw. So send in Fire Breathing triggers. And, like, legitimately, the Fire Breathing triggers here are letting me hardcast Force of Will while still cracking the clue. All right. So I get 1 counter spell here to stop what my opponent is doing. I know they have Rite of Flame, Wish, Storm of Memories. It feels like, as of right now, the Wish is the card that I go after. And then that hits the stack. If I Force of Negation that, I can send that into exile. My opponent has 2, 4, 5 mana. Wish costs 2, leaving them with 5, meaning they can still Storm of Memories. Storm would be Rite of Flame, Reckless Impulse, Force, plus their other card. They would get a Rite of Flame, a Manamorphose for sure. Plus whatever happens with Wish. I think I'm going to let this resolve. Rite of Flame, another Reckless Impulse. Alright. Ugh, these chaining into each other is not great. I think this is now my moment. Try to bottleneck my opponent on mana. Make my soldier. So there's Ren's Resolve now. Jessica's Will, not castable. Okay, we threaded the needle there. That was definitely scary. GG. So now I know that my opponent isn't on new Hexing Squelcher tech, which is something that I expected people to be testing. So I can potentially go down on removal, but these still do answer Ral. So I'd be looking at Mystical Dispute as a 3-mana counterspell, consider as something that cantrips. I think I'll do that. My opening hand has a counterspell. I'm in for it accordingly. I would prefer not to use this because I like both of my blue creatures. But I think as of right now, Katra is getting pitched. I like that I get setup turns here. Surgical Extraction, sure. Let's throw down Tamiyo. Land drop. Ooh, that's annoying. I have to say no to that, or I don't get to say no to future things. Okay, let's hit a blue card off of the Tamiyo draw, please. I guess I don't need to make that decision immediately. I can keep up Sheoldred's Edict for if my opponent plays a Ral. And if they play something that is scary, I just draw a card with the clue token. Sure. So Ruby Medallion and Mountain. I think I'll respond there. And we'll see if I draw a blue card. I do. It's a very good blue card. But I think I'm still just going to counter that. I might end up surgicaling that on my opponent's draw step. Cool. Don't mind that draw. So bam, investigate. This will be card draw number 2, a Daze. Probably relevant enough to keep, if for no other reason than that it is a blue card. So go to 17, rack clue token. Tamiyo becomes Tamiyo Planeswalker. I will plus... Are we fine with getting rid of all the Ruby Medallions? I think so. I haven't played enough against this deck in its current iterations with the Storm of Memories to know whether or not I just need to bottleneck them on something else. So Medallion, 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 Medallion. Got it. And I can remove this stop. 3 mana for Jeska's Will, exiling 3 cards. That's happening. Ral, I can potentially just answer until the end of this turn. Countering here or here works. I will just counter here. Has my opponent made a land drop? Yes, my opponent has made a land drop. And I will just Daze now. Not have to deal with this Ral. We'll figure out what we're doing about the Storm of Memories in a minute. Let's Brainstorm. That's pretty good. Let's put back 1 and 2. Make land drop. Tamiyo minus on Force of Negation. And we'll focus on trying to send cards to exile. Fight against the Storm of Memories. Do I want to exile that? So that'll be 3 mana since there's 1 in graveyard. 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. I think I just fight over a Wish when that goes on the stack. Oh, okay. I don't care if these hit Rite of Flames. I care if they hit Jeska's Will and Reckless Impulse, and they hit Rite of Flames both times. Nice. Or no, sorry, did not hit Rite of Flames both times. Second one hits Jeska's Will. That's 3 different cards. I care about that. So let's Force of Negation there. And that's enough to get us through the turn. I think because I know my next couple of cards are not great, I'm going to just Brainstorm to get a card deeper here with the intention of hard casting this Force of Negation. So Hydroblast is quite good. So bam, bam. So I'll plus, pass turn. I can Hydroblast or Force of Negation a Wish. I need to get a threat in play. Otherwise, my opponent's cards that look like this, that just represent card advantage, will grind me out over time. Ooh, nice. I get another turn to actually just plus Tamiyo up. I'll take that, and then next turn I can Tamiyo minus and potentially rebuy Hydroblast or Force of Negation. Right, there's another land drop. Okay, cool. Atara. I like that. So I'm just going to return any blue card to my hand here. I'll go with a Force of Negation. then this is my threat, and I have Hydroblast and Force of Negation here. Opponent has 3 cards in hand. I want them to cast spells so I can get Katra value. There's a Seething Song. I don't know that I care about that card. Burning Wish I care about. So I will Hydroblast a Burning Wish. Then my opponent's last card is a Wish. I will Force of Negation that. Katra has 2 experience counters. And that's enough for a game win here. Flash deck absolutely doing Flash things. These have been scary games, but we've come out on top both times so far. GG's. All right. Opening hand only has 1 land, but has Tamiyo, Force of Will, Daze. This is pretty darn good. I'm absolutely going to Force of Will that. I think pitching my Consider. The Consider is the thing that makes it easiest for me to hit my next land drop, but I don't know that I would be casting Consider on my next turn anyway. There's now also, like, can I fetch basic lands? And I can't fetch basic swamp and do what I want to do. I will absolutely play that basic island, though. Throw down Tamiyo, and we'll see if we can get through the next wave of threats. I would love to get through this turn with Daze, and then in my next 2 cards have a blue card to be able to Force of Will the follow-up thing. Well, actually, if I bounce the land with Daze, I can't take the immediate Tamiyo clue redraw. Alright, we've got Mountain. And some more mana. Junking a Fury, which is an out to a Tamiyo. Opponent is playing a Magus of the Moon. I would rather Force of Will something else. I think I will just counter it, because then I don't care about the Magus effects after that point. Fatal Push. That's fine. The big thing that I'm worried about is my opponent slamming a 1 ring. Don't have a lot of outs to that in the redraw. Hey, there it is. All right, you ready for me to just hit Daze? 3 in 51 chance. Here we go. Damn. I'm now going to have an uphill battle. I have a Tamiyo in play. Oh, Master. Okay. I think I'm doing that over anything else. If I'm willing to hit a fail rate, I could Brainstorm. If I find any land, I get to Bowmaster while also transforming the Tamiyo. It's kind of a big deal to rebuy these. I'm willing to hit the fail rate here. All right. Push on top. Push on top. Tamiyo plus. Underground Sea. Pass turn. Opponent takes 1. Then I will cast a Bowmaster. In your face. Ancient Tomb, 1 ring, and Bowmasters at the same time is a lot of life loss for my opponent, especially if I resolve a second Bowmasters next turn without this one getting killed by something like a Fury. Opponent's at 10 when that's all said and done. I can attack for 4. 1 ring deals 2. Ancient Tomb does 2 to 4 damage. I think I'm okay if Bowmaster doesn't leave play. It's another Ancient Tomb. Alright, Broadside is a scary card. That resolves. I don't care about that one very much. But now we see how my opponent threads the rest of this turn. Fuck! Oh, that's so good. That's so good. That clears both of these. Meaning I don't get to attack and I don't get the Bowmaster pings. So I guess now the next question becomes, does my opponent throw their 1 ring? Wait, was my thing a 3-3 or a 4-4? I think my thing was a 3-3. So Broadside attacks. They played that Chrome Mox, so are they gonna throw Chrome Mox at Bowmasters? Tamiyo minus. Where's this going? This is going at Tamiyo. They threw at Tamiyo. Okay, that's fine. They're killing my Tamiyo. I don't actually care about that card. So I have double Bowmasters. I don't have double Bowmaster's Fatal Push at the same time. So what if I crack Clue, kill Magus, opponent takes 2 from the 1 ring, goes to 4, probably can't draw with it, Ancient Tomb becomes harder to use as well. I can also attack for 1. I think I like that line more than playing the other Bowmasters. So push you, attack opponent to 5. Lot of life loss in play. So there's 3. 1 ring cannot be activated unless opponent removes Bowmasters first, which they can do. I'll take some damage. I guess they could activate 1 ring, hold priority, throw it at Bowmasters. That's pretty good. And then I hope to snipe the win with this in some capacity. Oh, they are throwing at my face. Okay. Urza's Saga, you've got it. So if I attack for 1, Ancient Tombs are not tappable. That seems fine as a starting point, and then we'll figure out, like, Fatal Push, Bowmasters versus Consider Bowmasters later. Saga goes up. Alright, my opponent is making a thing. This is the wrong timing to make this if they want to guarantee they can throw with Broadside. But now I think I just Fatal Push the Construct token now before my opponent can potentially fling it. They attack and fling Chrome Mox at Bowmasters. I have lethal. And they don't have lethal at my face. They can't Fury pitch to kill me. They don't have the red card. That's 7. Wild. Aggressively going at my face. And then this should do it. I think my opponent had a number of better lines there. I think the activate 1 ring, hold priority, throw it with Broadside to kill my Bowmasters was a big moment. My opponent could have had, I think, 3 more cards, and that might have been enough to turn the tide. I would have 6 more health or whatever, but a few cards could be a big deal. GG. All right, I like Barrogoyf. I like Hydroblast. And then I have some number of other things that I can be thinking about. Probably trimming 2 Fire Nation occupations or 2 Goyfs. After this point, I'm pretty happy with the cards that are in the deck. And it becomes like how many extra answers to like Chalice versus creatures versus One Ring. I think Considers are expendable. That hedges against Chalice. And I can play all the pitch counters. It may be that it is correct to pull the last Fire Nation occupation as well. But I like it representing some bodies that help me just block versus some stuff like Urza Saga. This is a 1-lander. It can be a Surveil land. I will need to hit the land to play Katra, or I probably die. I don't know that I can throw back the triple counterspell hand on the draw. I'm going to err on the side of reluctant keep here. City of Traders, Chalice. I'm going to counter it. I think I'm going to Force of Will, pitching Daze, and keep Katra in the hopes of Katra spiraling the game out of control, but it's very possible I should just pitch Katra there and keep both Daze and Hydroblast as options. All right, fantastic. Land drop 3. I will just take land drop 3 for Goyf purposes. This does mean that I can't Hydroblast this turn, so very specifically a Magus of the Moon or Blood Moon is very good right now. Then I have 2 basic lands over the next couple of turns. Yes, on Chrome Mox. This is a great example of like a spot where like having the Daze here could be very strong. Fuck. Yes. Occurs. Hopefully losing this mana here slows my opponent down a little bit, and I end up finding a land. Oh yeah, maybe I should have kept that Daze at the beginning of the game. Okay, cool. My opponent is not hitting land drops. I have 4 basics in the deck. Alright, we miss again. And I'm going to expect that we miss for a decent number of turns. Given pairings today, I almost wish that I had another Hydroblast. That resolves. If I were the opponent there, I would be naming... Well, naming Force of Will doesn't actually do what you want it to do right now, right? Yeah, what do you name then? What? Okay. That's an Urza Saga that is not currently a threat. That is annoying. The looting is very good there. Okay, cool. So that's a little insulation versus the next bad thing. The Fable will solo me on a long enough timeline. How my opponent loots. Alright, yeah. Those are decent cards to throw away. I will take 2. Sort of like the Magus of the Moon game that we played before. 2 damage alone isn't bad, but the big difference here is that this is coming this time. No. I think I get rid of Katara. I have Hydroblast getting rid of Blood Moon if I draw a blue source, and I have Barrogoyf, which is surprisingly small if I draw a black source. EE. EE for 0, just kill the token so that my opponent can't copy it? Unexciting, but okay. Get out of here. Now my opponent has a new 2/2. I keep them off of things like 1. Never mind. That's pretty bad. I think on average at this point I expect to lose this game, but I can still draw a black source, like Flash in Bowmasters, kill Reflection of Kiki Jiki, check the One Ring. Sure. Nope, just another basic mountain, unfortunately. I think my opponent wins from here. Ooh, yeah. Can also copy that with Reflection of Kiki Jiki to throw more things. So there's the card draw. There's the copy. This is 4 damage in combat, potentially followed by another 6. Oh, wait, can I die right now? Go to 12? No, opponent can hit me for 11 instead. They can throw a One Ring and then a Broadside or a Reflection. So there's throwing the One Ring, and then there's throwing the Broadside. Yep, that's not great. That's the basic swamp. Can't get Revolt for Fatal Push. I think I will concede here. My opponent is probably new to the format or confused about what I'm doing with the Kataras. And I think I'm not going to show them any more information when they have very easy onboard lethal. GG. I have different ways to thread that game where I keep the days in hand in the mulligan, or I opt to not play the Surveil land to play out Katara immediately and instead hold out Pyroblast for specifically the Blood Moon that I lost to. I think I'm going to play one more Force Effect. I think if I don't fold to the One Ring, I probably win this on average. I'll still keep an out to Chalice in there, or the game's going very long. I could also consign. That's something else that answers One Ring and Chalice at the same time. I don't like this one lander. It's very good with the second. I don't think I'm willing to gamble when I'm on the play. This is fine. I think I'm going to put back this removal spell. It's a fine card, but I think I am looking for the free and cheap interaction here with Katara. So there's Sewers. Bowmasters is okay. I'm just going to say no to that. Again, I want to build this game around Katara. And I would greatly prefer not to cast a counterspell on my first turn. Greatly. City of Traders. I'll let that resolve. I'm tempted to counter it since my opponent played their land drop out first. Alright, I have to daze that one. Means that I don't get to Katara immediately. Spirit Guide would be super annoying here. Alright, cool. We dodged. Would love to draw an untapped land. Nice, I did. Now I don't have to play Undercity Sewers, and I can work on getting both of my basics over the next couple of turns, and then hopefully running away with the game via Katara. That's a good card. I think I just let that one go. I currently have one card to cast after I play Katara. I think I'm just letting that one go. That's an interesting draw, because Fable is right there. I think I'm still going to play Katara. I think that's my long-term plan. So we'll get both basics going to 18. Now, I'm not currently taking any damage to the Goblin Shaman. I have a Force of Negation, which checks the One Ring, which is the most important thing here. Opponent does get to loot. Opponent says no to Urza's Saga, which would make them lose their City of Traders. Okay, that makes sense. We are starting to get to the point where my opponent probably needs to play a little faster. I don't think they are quite in danger of timing out yet, but I think timeout is on the table for them if I start to pull ahead. I think they have plenty of time if they can just slam a win condition that dodges Force of Negation here. All right, there goes the city. Hieroglyph dodges. So if they did that pre-combat, they just get in for that damage. Did they? Yeah, because they didn't use the treasure token. My position is not great. I could spin this game on a dime with this brainstorm. Oof. I don't. I need to break up Fable of the Mirrorbreaker Pyroglyph. Not great at doing that. I can do it next turn in a very awkward way where I play a Bowmaster, ping my Bowmaster, and then Fatal Push. Or use Bowmasters to block. I could also Tamiyo block Pyroglyph Fatal Push. That requires playing Underground Sea. And if I want to hold Force of Negation up, that's these, meaning these go back. But I have to redraw all of it. I think that's a so be it moment. Bam, 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 bam. Ass. Fable's online. Another land drop. Oh, these are dodging Force of Negation. This is unfortunate. The good news is my opponent will probably now kill my Tamiyo on their own. So I'm going to get to block with Tamiyo. Means that they can fling a treasure and kill Tamiyo. I think I just accept that. I think Tamiyo going away is always happening. So if this happens in a way where I don't take 6 damage immediately, that's fine. Yeah, you can resolve that. I'm not gonna... Like, you have multiple treasure tokens in play that you could throw as well. All right. So the most threatening thing here is the Pyroglyph being copied. That represents the most damage, but Broadside is just behind it. I think I am now going to need to brainstorm into something that answers one of these two creatures, probably Broadside first. Let's just do this now. It'd be a great time to draw like a Hydroblast. Put back 1 and 2. Surveil through Force of Negation. This will obviously be the turn that my opponent now draws their One Ring. See? All right. This is actually good for me if they draw the card. Please draw the card. Okay, cool. So next, please miss activating Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. So Bowmasters ping Broadside. All right, they didn't miss that. I will still get to kill the original, which is very good. So card draw, ping original. So now we'll see how my opponent plays this. They can like treasure token, throw at Orc, which is good. So I think I block there. Take 2 and see if my opponent kills Bowmasters or just throws 6 at my face. Chrome Mox. That makes me think they're going to throw at Bowmaster, which is fine. Oh no, the top... No. My top card is another Bowmaster. So I think I'm okay. Well, okay. I think I'm in bad shape, but I think I make it through the next turn because my opponent draws with the One Ring. Then I play Bowmasters and kill Reflection of... let's actually do this way. So new Bowmasters, ping you for 1. Then finish you off, ping face for 1. All right. That resolves. I will probably just bounce it immediately. I could wait. I might need to just bounce it immediately so that I can play Brazen Borrower for 3 mana and attack my opponent's face. Like, that might just need to be the plan here. Like, this transitions to I am the beatdown. Okay. Send in for 4. Opponent to 14. I can have them on a 2-turn clock. Oh, they're just drawn. All right. Face, face, face. That is opponent to 9. I have 7 on board, another 3 here. Absolutely not. That's Force of Negation. I believe that'll be the game. I believe I attack for 7 and then the One Ring kills them. Hot damn. I guess I can do this now? Another Bowmaster as well, just in case. I will take that, right? Because that is lethal immediately, not giving them a chance to untap. All right, I think that is a great round that shows off like how your format knowledge is useful. I think my opponent had an overwhelming advantage, and I managed to just find the little spots and take advantage of some of the things where they didn't optimize to kind of crawl back. And we're 3-0. Trophy? Trophy would be cool. GG's. Oh boy, this is an awkward hand. If Fatal Push is good, I have an overwhelming endgame here, And if Fatal Push is bad and my opponent is playing something like Combo, we just lose without doing anything. My opponent's last finish was with a Fair Delver deck. I'm going to keep the double Fatal Push hand. Underground Sea and Tamiyo. Fatal Push immediately looking good. Nice. So now do I risk Daze? I don't think I risk Daze, despite the awkwardness of not playing Fire Nation Occupation on curve. I think I go fetch Underground Sea, do a Dazeable Fatal Push here. It resolves, which is great. But if it didn't, I had Snuff Out as well. Another Polluted Delta. Oh, we're Reanimator then. You have Ward. You have Hexproof. That's worse than Ward. No evasion? Alright. If I get to Fire Nation Occupation, that will just block that forever until it eventually trades with it. Let's Surveil. I would like an untapped land. That's something that's castable next turn. I would rather spike the untapped land, though. May get super punished for not risking Daze in the first turn cycle. Cameo is just a silly Magic the Gathering card, though. 14. Yes. I am not going to need to deal much damage back to my opponent here. Oh, I lost Snuff Out. Hexproof. Hexproof so good. Daze. Daze is protection from this, I guess. I think I will say yes to that. It's just very awkward if I now get, like, wastelanded off of the Fire Nation occupations. That's fine. I will eat 5 damage. I will Brazen Borrower that. And hope no counterspell. Yeah? And I don't think I can wait for the days. Pitching a Tamiyo. Alright. I would call the situation very bad. So I play this. It gives me the blocker for this. I'm going to take 6 from Murktide Regent going to 3. And then I need to find something with my next draw that answers Murktide. That is a Bitter Triumph, discarding a Reanimate. I'm thinking about picking up a Surveil land for a cantrip that I draw versus having the extra land in play for more mana. I think I'm going to pick up the Surveil land. Yeah. So Snuff Out off the table. Don't have enough power to just block that outright and kill it. I'm at 3. Oh shit. That's good. I probably say no to that. I think I'll leave this. Well, good attack. Put my opponent to 7. Block with this one that I make. Now I'm going to leave back the extra body so I don't die to a removal spell. Yeah. I think I will do this in upkeep before my opponent gets another draw for a Daze type card. Get my soldier. Okay, Murktide Regent out of play. Alright. Successfully blocked. Murktide not currently castable. Alright. Oh, we're so close to casting that. So there's Fire Nation Occupation. Resolves. So I can choose to continue playing around a removal spell, or I can start just trying to say, like, I'll lose to a removal spell, but I can start pressuring my opponent's life total. I think I'm going to pressure life total. I think that means I also should have attacked the previous turn if I'm going to switch now. But I can play Brazen Borrower to potentially block a Murktide Regent. Riverwinder comes in again. Alright, cool. So now, next turn, I have 2 of these available for getting in there and blocking. Snuff Out becomes hard castable as well. Send in. On it to 5. They could be at 3 instead if I took that 1 attack earlier. Margins on this one are going to be extremely tight. Come on, Fire Nation Occupation, I believe in you. Oh my gosh, we won. Oh, wow. GG, that was scary close. I'm also happy to win game 1 here. So I would like the Surgicals, but I think we're largely playing fair here. Might think about these two. I think Force of Negation goes out. I think 2 Fire Nation Occupations just become lifelinkers. Because we do just have to respect my opponent's Barrogoyfs, Douthie Voidwalkers, Tamios, all that fair nonsense. Is Barrogoyf on average big enough to beat whatever that snake was? Striped Riverwinder? It might be. Not sure how I want to board. I think I am going down on counter spells, despite the fact that my opponent has some reanimation stuff. I have 3 Sheoldred's Edicts for Tamio. I have 4 Fatal Pushes, 2 Snuff Outs for Tamio as well. I have 2 Snuff Outs, 3 Edicts for things like Murktide. I could also do this over something like a Daze. I do just have like Kataras and Fire Nation occupations that I want to tap out for and have something to follow them up. It also may be that Fire Nation occupation is better than Barrogoyf here, specifically because of the Striped Riverwinder and just needing to produce bodies that block that consistently. The Barrogoyf can be removed easier than the Fire Nation occupation can be. Ooh, this is a 1-lander. It's a 1-lander with everything I want, minus the second land. Like, I have insurance versus reanimator stuff. I'm relatively resilient to a Thoughtseize. I have 4 very good creatures. A lot of times I can make this land drop a surveil land. Let's see what my opponent does. Cameo. Alright. Do I just hit the land naturally? No. Now the next question is, do I want a Tameo or do I want a surveil land? I think I will still Tameo. Force my opponent to answer that. And Tameo does resolve. The nightmare scenario is Wasteland plus Fatal Push, I think. Your Tameo does not get through for damage. Alright, not Wasteland. And opponent is chilling. That's good. I don't think I'm casting that immediately. I think I want to see if my opponent uses a Brainstorm. I think I'll pass. Now do I do it in upkeep? I could Surgical a fetch land to see if they do have a counterspell. I think Surgical does enough stuff that I'm not going to do that here. Let's attempt to snuff out Tameo before my opponent gets another draw to protect it. Okay, that worked. That's great. I could Surgical Tameo. I don't think I'm going to do that. I am very afraid of the Striped Riverwinder. What a legacy sentence to say. Would have gotten it. Alright. Fine, as long as I hit a land drop. Yeah. Always yield to that. So now I effectively have 9 cards, and I can't use any of them but Surgical. Another Ponder. I'm surprised my opponent says no to a Ponder. Like, Ponder flips Tameo immediately, which seems good. Maybe they already have the tools to do that. Or maybe they have a Murktide. They do have a Murktide. Alright. I think if I miss the land drop this turn, I probably die. Okay, so that was just no land drops in the top 4 cards of library and no redraws. Okay, that's probably a little below average. I believe that I'm going to play this game until I can cast the Surgical Extraction. I want to see what is in my opponent's deck. So even if I expect that I have lost here, I think there is value in seeing what their post-board configuration looks like at 10. There's a clue, another land drop, and passing. Okay, that's a start. I'm probably casting Sheoldred's Edict in hopes of answering one of those 2 cards. Sometimes I cast a Bowmasters instead. And I think this Tameo can be 5 life. Opponent fetches. Racking a clue. Is it ever Bowmasters? Nah. Please sacrifice a non-token creature. Opponent sacks a Tameo. I think I will just cash this in for 5 life in an attempt to buy some time here. That's a Goyf. That's happening. Oof. Should have Surgical Tameo, apparently. Might have gotten 2. So I can Brazen Burrow or bounce a Murktide out of play. I think my opponent's got this, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and Surgical something, take a look at their library, and concede this one. Okay, so they do have Archon and Atraxa. EE. Show and tell. Okay. This is a little spicy. There are Wastelands. Oh, opponent's hand also just is kind of crazy. Like, look at that. All right, now we know GG's. So, seeing the show and tells, I definitely want Mystical Dispute. I don't have to worry about Striped River Winder anymore. That's out. But there's 4 Atraxas and an Archon to think about. If my opponent keeps this configuration, my reanimation stuff like Surgical is not actually good. So I think I'm going to go Surgicals out, get a Daze and a Mystical Dispute in. And do I want more Dazes when I'm on the play? I legitimately might. Might go some creatures out just for more stack interaction since I have to deal with show and tell nonsense. Can I fit another Fire Nation occupation in? I'm not sure that I can. I want one more. I might be a touch heavy on creature removal, but answering Tamiyo is critical. That's 5 lands. I'm not a fan. This is totally fine. Probably keep this and get rid of the Consider. Tamiyo is... Well, I guess I care about Tamiyo and Thoughtseize on turn 1. I'd like to protect my Katra. Probably means that I'm playing this land on turn 1. Get rid of Consider. I'm going to play this, but sometimes by playing this I have to fetch an Underground Sea or a Surveil land. If my opponent Thoughtseizes me specifically. That is a Tamiyo. I will Fatal Push that. So that can resolve. I think I'm going to play on basics here. It's awkward if I want to daze this specific spell, but otherwise I get Katara daze afterwards, which is pretty cool. Katara does resolve. And now I probably want to just be pretty aggressive with dazing anything that I can counter. Opponent's not going to give me that chance. I don't know that I want to attack into Bowmaster here. I think I'm just going to pass my turn. Miss 1 point of damage, but not potentially have to fight over things on my own turn. Yeah. So am I fine with letting that resolve and just using an Edict on it on my opponent's turn? I think I am. 18. Not give my opponent another draw. Please sacrifice a non-token creature. Bam, bam. All right, successfully get rid of Bowmasters. So next is find a spot to safely cast a Brainstorm. Opponent does not spend any mana. I think I wait on the Brainstorm then. I want to get blown out by Bowmasters if I can help it. Waiting with Daze in hand doesn't feel the best. I think this time I need to attack with the Katara. Ooh. Bitter Triumph. Daze doesn't counter that. I'm going to cast this anyway. Ooh, shit. Fire Nation Occupation. I can play it this turn with a Daze backup. Sure. I'm very happy to draw this since I only have one of them. So now land drop and occupation. All right. It's good enough for a fetch. Oh, okay. Opponent's just doing that. That's fine. I am okay versus a show and tell if my opponent doesn't make a land drop. But I don't have a lot going on otherwise. That's the land drop. Shit. All right. So there's an Atraxa. All right, opponent went back to Reanimator stuff for game 3. The good news here is there's not counter magic. So I can potentially daze a Reanimate. My opponent just goes for it immediately. So bam, bam, bam. Brainstorm, Reanimate, Fanatic, Delta. Okay. So there's the immediate Reanimate. I will counter that. Turning a land, getting another thing with Fire Nation Occupation. I'm actually very glad they did that because I'm about to answer the Atraxa and it's going to go to graveyard. Brainstorm Metamorphosis Fanatic is another problem for the future. I think I need to do what I'm about to do in my opponent's draw step so that I make friends. I don't want them to Brainstorm Metamorphosis Fanatic on top and then immediately get this Atraxa back in the same turn. So let's go draw step, consider, trigger. I know that I get Sheoldred's Edict. And cast Sheoldred's Edict. Please sacrifice a non-token creature. Yeah. Uh-oh. Oh. Hate that for me. So I get punched for 7, and my opponent gets to answer 8 of my power for 2 mana. And they also have Brainstorm Metamorphosis Fanatic coming up. And I hit a dead draw. Rats. My attack doesn't make any sense. I'll pass the turn. Opponent brainstorms to set this up. There's the miracle. Air quotes, miracle. The opponent could use this as an opportunity to crack EE, get rid of this Orc Army token, and just make a new Orc Army token. I don't know that they need to. Like, I think the Atraxa gets me in 2 turns, no matter how you think about it. I am at 3. I'm probably going to 2 to Surveil. And, like, cantrip stringing is not great right now because of the Bowmasters. So, I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking to do here. Yeah, like, I can cast that, get pinged for 1. My opponent gets me in the air. Alright, I think they've got this one. No trophy this time. My opponent wins this match. Deck is feeling good, though. GG's. Alright, opening hand is okay. It's kind of reliant on Brainstorm to find the extra mana and kind of smooth things out. I think I keep hands that can answer a Tamiyo with a counterspell backup, though. I think that's where we're at in the metagame. But I vastly prefer hands with 2 lands here. Yes. I think I will just answer that immediately and probably end up brainstorming next turn. Dazing slightly awkward here. I'd like to work towards this. Get rid of that draw step stop. I shouldn't need that. Super punished. Not super punished. I guess I'm still dazing that. I don't want my opponent to do that on Wasteland. Well, maybe I can save my spell from Wasteland. Or my land from Wasteland. Talon Gates for no bonus value. I'm considering brainstorming and dazing my brainstorm. Just always guarantee that I have a land to continue playing this game. My opponent's down to 3 cards already. The easiest way for me to lose is just brainstorm and not hit a land. I can give up 2 cards to essentially always draw a land. I think I am down with that. Cast brainstorm, hold priority, return that land to my hand. Do not have the mana to pay for that, but I counter Wasteland. Oh, cool. No follow-up play from my opponent. That's fantastic. Nice, nice. I have Tamiyo Brainstorm next turn. Hopefully we don't get Wastelanded in the short term. Nice. And Daze. Love this. I will just Brainstorm immediately. Oh, and Snuff Out? Hell yeah. You are expensive right now. You aren't the best. You're very good versus the Mana Dorks, but the Badgermole Cub and above-sized things you're not the best against. Whereas you're more generic. Put a Bowmasters on top. Transform a Tamiyo, plus a Tamiyo, make a land drop, and I can decide whether or not I want to draw another Bowmasters. That is a Scythe Cat Cub. I can snuff that out, or I can just daze that. I think I will daze that while Daze is still live. Yeah, cool. I think I will fetch and surveil. I will take that next land drop. Then I am less scared of Wasteland. I think I can just ride Tamiyo to victory here. Like, I have 2.5 removal spells. Yeah, opponent concedes that one. Okay, the whole Brainstorm Daze thing is a very unconventional line. It worked out super well for us. So we answered 1, 2, 3 of my opponent's mana sources, and then presumably a bunch of stuff like White of the Reliquary got stuck in their hand that they couldn't cast. Alright, fantastic. So I would like more removal spells. I think that means Sheoldred's Edict and EE both. I'll think about this. Don't think I'm into Force of Negation. I don't know that I'm overly excited about Daze on the draw. It feels like my opponent a lot of times just sticks Mana Dorks, and this doesn't do what I want it to do. I'm going to go down those. A truck was just out on the road driving, and the roads are very icy, and I just heard the worst, like, as that truck tried to get up a hill. They got there, but it was questionable. And then we start running into, do I want an abundance of bodies, or do I want this, like, lifelinker? This has Death Touch and can trade with some larger things like white. A lot of this, like, these tokens are going to get stuck behind, like, 3/4s. I think I'm going to value the Death Toucher here. And if we get a game where I'm on the play, I can reevaluate Daze. It will be much better when I am on the play. No, I don't love these one-landers. I would like an abundance of land. Like, this is 1, 2, 3, 4.5 removal spells. It's incredible if I draw the land, and it's just, like, how willing am I to risk that against my opponent's Wasteland deck? I think I just want functional mana. Denied. Am I willing to go to 5? I don't think I'm willing to go to 5. I think I will just pitch 1 Katra here and hope that it works out. I think this is worse than the 7-card hand. I think the upside here is much lower. Or if I do hit the land drop, opponent picks up Bayou and throws down a Hierarch. I am probably just fatal pushing, despite the fact that I would really like to use my cantrip to stabilize my mana. Okay, I mean, there's the next land drop. So the way that I foresee this going is my opponent pulls ahead, I play Katara, they pull further ahead, and then I see if I can start going wild with Katara. Alright, hate that. Okay, no 1-drop is nice. Another land drop for me is nice. That is an incredibly good card that I don't think I need with this many other ways to spend my mana. I think I'm just going to say no there. I think I want to look for more lands, presuming that Katara plus mana equals win. Bayou comes down. There's a Badger Mole Cub. I accept. I think this next turn is going to suck for me. But I think I have to believe in my engine here. EE says non-land, by the way, so I can't use that to blow up Bayou. F. Yeah. No. The plan is Katara plus mana equals win. Yup. 2. Blow up a bunch of things. All right, mana, please. F. Okay. Do I need to consider now and make the land drop? I think I do. This is not the game going as I want it to. That is technically the land drop that I want, but it does not cast Consider. We'll take it, I guess. So good news is I have 2 basic lands. Bad news is opponent has this engine going. Another land drop. I don't get to go after that. My opponent can hit me for 3, maybe 4. Probably not 4. They probably just want to hold up Talon Gates. Yikes. EE is very close to good. Am I tapping out for EE? I would prefer to do this on 4 mana and just pop. I don't think I get to do that. I think I just have to play this out and telegraph it. Which means that my opponent can know that they need to hold up these activations or Talon Gates to phase out their creatures. Dryad Arbor. That's potentially just a creature to sacrifice to these. And unfortunately, I think this is just gain a couple points of life, hoping to activate EE and do gross things. Force a Will, not exactly what I'm looking for. And I think I'm going to go for this in upkeep. Yeah, I know what's coming here. My question is, do you have 2 of them? Sacrificing the Bayou. You do have 2 of them. Not great for me. I do still kill 2 permanents with my EE, but not in a fun way. I can buy time here. My snuff outs aren't going to kill these. I probably just need to counter that. Pitch Consider. These bounce and buy time. Alright. Bowmasters kill Dryad Arbor. That makes it harder for my opponent to activate these abilities. These are 6/6s, and I don't want to see a Badger Mole Cub. Badger Mole Cub on Talon Gates would be super annoying. That's bad too. Now my opponent can play lands from graveyard. Notably, the Dryad Arbor can do nonsense with these. I think this one has turned fully in my opponent's favor. The Icetail Explorer is also just going to naturally grow these. I'll take a chump here. I think I'm just overwhelmed. I think I just can't play enough spells to keep up here. Like, with another land, I can Bowmaster's block, Fatal Push one of these things. Don't have that. I think I'm comfortable conceding here. Moving to the final game of the league. Don't have spell bombs that can clean the graveyard out. I think I'm okay with this configuration. I think I just need mana. Alright, that's mana. I'm going to keep it. I'm not the happiest with this, and I'm going to have to decide whether or not I am willing to fetch a Surveil land? I think the answer is no, I am not. I just need the 2 basic lands. You can do that. The Hierarch is happening. I don't have a Fatal Push here to just answer that immediately. That might just mean that I'm going to Sheoldred's Edict it with my turn, which means that I'm not deploying my own threat, which I hate. Okay, I'm going to deploy Katra. You may have your mana. I will get both basics and go to 18. And then hopefully Katra, backed by double Force of Will, Sheoldred's Edict, just carries the game away. Oh my god. That's fine as long as my opponent doesn't follow it up. Maybe that's not fine, actually. Fatal Push, Fatal Push, Fatal Push, Fatal Push. My opponent doesn't have more mana, so like oh, it's fucking Fatal Push. Let's fucking go. No experience counters yet, so I don't want to loot. Do I want to attack? I don't think the 1 point of damage matters. I think I'm going to hold back in case this ends up potentially attacking. Alright, cool. So Frenzied Baloth attacks instead. I Fatal Push this. Get my Katra trigger. I would like to cast another spell or 2 on my opponent's turn still. I think I'm going to go ahead and cast a Consider. Bowmasters kills this. Is that fine? That's fine. It's not good. Good is another blue card to pair with these. I think I'm just going to take the fine card, though. I'm going to go Force of Will, Itch Brazen Borrower, go up to the 3rd counter here. And the Katra is pretty gross at this point. Send in. Yes. Okay, cool. Hit blue cards. I don't think I need EE at this stage. 18. Pass turn. Then I will go ahead and Bowmasters the Mana Dork out of play. Katra is just absolutely going fucking wild. That's an Endurance. I'll just counter that. Cast a Brainstorm in response. Oh, there's Snuff Out too. I'll just Snuff Out that Endurance then. I don't need to counter it. I don't care about my graveyard. Yeah. Goodbye graveyard. Bowmaster ping you, because Gaia's Cradle is a thing. Endurance there. I will draw 6 cards with Katra on the attack trigger. Absolutely fucking filthy there, folks. That is a 4-1 finish to a very, very good league. GG's. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Shay, I think we succeeded in building a very good Dimir Flash deck. Fire Nation Occupation had a few chances to really carry the games away. I will say, any game where I have mana, I felt favored to win. Tamiyo is a mana sink, Katra is kind of a mana sink, Fire Nation Occupation is a mana sink. To a lesser extent, Brazen Borrower is another way to spend a lot of mana. It seems like if I had mana, it was pretty easy for me to do something that felt busted. In order of rankings in this deck specifically, Katra felt the most busted, then Tamiyo, then Fire Nation Occupation. These two coming down faster was a very real deal, because by the time you get to Fire Nation Occupation, you sometimes are a little low on gas. But I don't think I missed Dark Ritual in this league in taking it out of the deck. I think I'm very happy with where the blue count ended up. I'm very happy I added Snuff Outs. I think the most work can be done with the sideboard still. I'm not confident on my in-out numbers on the matchups. I'm not confident that everything that is in there should be there. But I like the tools that this deck is playing to, it is bringing to the table. The 4 basic lands definitely were relevant this league. I don't know that I need more threats, so I think the original version of the deck had Opposition Agent and Bitter Bloom Bearer. Not Bitter Blossom Bearer as I have in the search bar, but Bitter Bloom Bearer. I don't know that I missed those cards. The ultimate question here is, do you need Fire Nation Occupation? Are you better off just playing, say, 2 Murktide Regions in the spots where the 3 Fire Nation Occupations are? Are you better just throwing 4 Thoughtseizes into the main deck, despite the anti-synergy with Katra? And I don't know the answers to those questions without playing more, but I like what this brought to the table. This was a very fun way to spend the morning. And I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day. See you.